Devil fruits have wills of their own, and I can prove it. How can I prove it? Because I did research on the subject. Roll the tape!
All right, Mr. Lemon. You got one last chance to confess. Do you feel? We could do this all night, Lemon! Yes. I knew it.
Aha! See? You heard the lemon! You heard the lemon! And I don't even want to tell you what the bananas were saying, but you heard that lemon, okay? Yeah. Now, granted, that was a regular fruit, and these are devil fruits, but hey, if normal fruits have wills of their own, which, not even going to begin the existential crises that you have to get over with that, devil fruits definitely do, alright? So, a couple videos ago, I actually don't remember which one it was, I mentioned the idea of, you know, not just zones having their own wills, which has been straight up just confirmed by the Gorosei at this point. And if the Gorosei say it, then it's pretty much confirmed, because honestly, they're like the only ones in the entire One Piece story that actively know like everything that's going on. Like the Gorosei know what the will of D is. Im does as well, but the Gorosei, you know, are connected to Im and they know the secret of Im and everything like that. So when the Gorosei say, oh man, it really sucks that zones have wills of their own, then yeah, they do. However, then you start thinking like, okay, well, yeah, it makes sense for zones because they're basically the spirits of animals in fruit form, and so that was the indication of how the Gamu Gamu no Mi, or rather the human fruit model sun god, escaped the Gorosei the entire time, but also managed to get to Luffy. Like, that fruit specifically chose Luffy to be its user, okay? So, those are zones, though. Then you start backing up and thinking about all the other devil fruits, and I mentioned that there's just so many characters in this story that have, like, the perfect devil fruit ability for their own personality or for one specific use that they themselves can utilize, all right? Now, there's a few ways to look at this. You could just say, well, that's more of, like, maybe a Deus Ex Machina. Maybe that's, like, Oda's writing isn't the greatest there. You know, it's kind of like, imagine if, you know how, like, when you play a video game, let's just use that as an example, you know? Like, let's say you go into an area where all the enemies you fight are made of ice, and right before you enter this area, you get a fire sword. Like, wow, that'll come in handy. Well, you're gonna need this in the ice cave, you know what I mean? So, like, you could just look at it like that, of just, like, convenience or bad writing, or it's just like, oh, it's so convenient, this one power just happened to be here right when we needed it the most, okay? You could look at it like that. Or, considering the fact I think Oda is smart enough to understand that, like, okay, that's pretty poor writing, unless you have this, you know, long game setup where it's like, no, all devil fruits have wills. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody could eat a devil fruit that, like, it wasn't, like, chosen by fate or anything like that. You know, somebody unassuming and unimportant could still just eat a devil fruit. It doesn't mean it's going to change the destiny of everybody on the planet. Like, every single fruit is in the exact hands of the people that need to have it. But it's a certain situation where some of these are so obvious. It's like, okay, this person had this fruit on this island at this exact moment. That's a little sus, Oda. That's a little sus. So I'm actually going to open this up with probably my strongest argument for this. It was going to be Law. It was going to be Law because Law, being the master surgeon, having the power of the op fruit, which you need to have, you know, surgery and medical skills in order to utilize to its fullest potential. I was going to do that, but a lot of people brought up, it's like, hey, Law's is not like the best example though, because remember, Corazon and Law were actively seeking out the fruit. Now, you could also look at it from the perspective of like, hey, Law had the Amber Lead Syndrome, and like, oh, okay, the only fruit in the entire world, or I guess one of the very few fruits, I mean, maybe the Heal fruit could have fixed him too, but the Op fruit is one of the only fruits that can really heal him, so they go off on this adventure, and Law ended up with it. Maybe you could say that, like, you know, part of that event was, you know, maybe the will of the Op fruit making its way to Law. You know, you could get a little bit, like, I'm just gonna say the word metaphysical here, or whatever, but I understand, you know, Corazon and Law were actively seeking out the fruit that could heal Law, and then they found it, and then Law ate it. So it doesn't really have anything to do with, like, the fruit, like, finding its way to Law just by happen chance or whatever. They were actively seeking it out. Okay, but I have a better example for this, okay? Are you ready? Okay, this devil fruit was introduced during Wano and played a very pivotal role in the downfall of the beast pirates at Onigashima. I'm, of course, referring to the Kibi Kibi no Mi, wielded by Otama! Really just wanted to use the, Otama Lord of all hell clip again. Anyway, so yes, I want you to sit back and actually think about this for a moment, okay? Otama had the ability of the Kibi Kibi no Mi, or the millet fruit. The ability allowed her to squeeze her cheeks and produce little millet dumplings. And then she could feed those dumplings to any animal, Smiles included, which, we're going to get back to that in a moment, but feed that dumpling to any animal, and they will obey her every will as if they are her best friend and loyal companion for one entire moon cycle. So essentially 1 month. Like, if Otama fed a tiger one of the dumplings under the full moon, that tiger will be her loyal companion and best friend until the next full moon, okay? After which time, Otama specifies that the effects do wear off. Sometimes the animal chooses to leave, and sometimes it chooses to stay. So the downfall of this fruit is not even all the time a downfall. Sometimes the animal chooses to stay Otama's friend, like the Koma Inu did, okay? And sometimes they're just like, whatever, and then they just leave, okay? But still, that's the situation. It's still a crazy powerful fruit. Now, Otama did not actively seek this fruit out. It wasn't like a situation with Corazon in Law where Otama, like, found a scroll or something and she's like, the Kibi Kibi no Mi, I need to go and find that. And she went off on this epic quest throughout Wano and all these different islands and lands to find the fruit. No, Otama was born in Wano. She doesn't even know what devil fruits are. You know what I mean? Like, nobody in Wano even really understands what they are. To them, they're just magical fruits that give you sorcery powers, okay? They're not even really fully understood, okay? She just accidentally ate this fruit one day, all right? Everybody in Wano is starving. She only gets to eat rice like one day out of the year on her birthday. She was probably out in the woods one day and just saw the devil fruit and was just like, oh my god, I get to eat tonight. And then, disgusting fruit. But now I have this magic ability, okay? That was pretty much it, all right? Now, why is this a big deal? Because you can also use the Kibi Kibi no Mi to control smile users. Smile users are artificial devil fruit users, okay? Artificial fruits that were created by Caesar utilizing sad, okay? So it allows you to turn into an animal. You don't really know which animal you're going to get, and you really don't know how your body is going to take to the smile, and there's only a 10% success rate, but it is a devil fruit, and on top of that, unlike regular zones, because Otama's Kibi Kibi no Mi does not work on regular zones, but it does work on smiles. So, the one place in the entire world where all of these smile users are congregated together are on the Beast Pirates, and their home base is Wano. Wano and Onigashima specifically, okay? So, like, this is honestly the best case and the best proof that I have to put forward that devil fruits have a little bit of a will on their own. And the Kibi Kibi no Mi is not a zone, it is a paramecia, okay? Wano, one island in the entire world. This fruit could have spawned anywhere else in the entire world, but it spawns in Wano and is eaten by somebody that is an enemy of Kaido, somebody that will rise to the challenge, Otama, and use her powers to bring about the downfall of Kaido's crew. And so, the one devil fruit that could absolutely cripple Kaido's entire operation is grown on the same island he has his operation. It could be anywhere else in the world. Any of the four blues. It could have been on the other half of the Grand Line. But no, it is spawned in Wano. Wano specifically. And you also have to understand that Kaido was not always based in Wano. His base of operations only started like 20-something years ago when he set up shop at Onigashima and Wano, alright? That's the best piece of proof I have. Just the odds of that. Like I said, Otama did not seek this fruit out. It's not a zone, so therefore, like, it might just have a will of its own. Or, you know, by extension, maybe that fruit doesn't have a will of its own, but maybe there is this Mother Nature, Mother Ocean that chooses where each of these fruits are spawned, okay? And it's like, okay, all these smiles are coming to prominence. I'm going to spawn that fruit in the one location where it would definitely be useful to take down this entire operation. Okay, so I have other examples, but that was my best one. So if that didn't convince you, then you could probably just stop the video right here, okay? But I do have other examples, and some of these are clearly the case of, you know, somebody looking at the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia and then picking out a fruit and then saying that, like, hey, I really want this fruit. This one was the best power for me. And then actively going out to sea as a pirate or a marine or whatever, and then trying to find that fruit so they can get that power that they sought out, okay? Some of them are like that. Some of them are like, maybe. So, case in point, the Yami Yami no Mi, the fruit that is wielded by Blackbeard, and is certainly the perfect devil fruit for Blackbeard, okay? Now, you might say, well, he actively sought this out. He even said as much. Blackbeard had a copy of the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia. He found this fruit. He memorized what it looked like. He knew exactly what he was looking for, and he specifically joined Whitebeard's crew because that was, in his own words, the best chance that I would have had at finding it, because he was a Yonko, okay? An Emperor crew, has a lot of ships, has a lot of allies, kind of spans the entire world, and we're going to travel all over the place. Best chance I have at getting this specific fruit is on Whitebeard's crew. By the way, going back to Otama really quickly, once again, the idea of just one fruit being found by that person, it's like the perfect match, that's very, very hard to, like, just assume that's happening by, you know, happen chance. You know what I mean? The odds of this are insane. Blackbeard was actively seeking out his perfect match of a fruit, and it took him literally decades, and he's not even the one that found it, okay? So you could say that, like, okay, he had a really good chance, or a better chance than most, being on Whitebeard's crew, and then Thatch found it, so it's like, oh, okay, it took decades of searching, but finally the fruit did get within eyesight of Blackbeard, and so then he killed Thatch and then took the fruit, okay? Yeah, he was actively looking for it, but it did end up, it's almost kind of like a little bit of a messed up test in a way, if you want to look at it that way. It's just like, oh, you want the powers of the Yami Yami no Mi, you want the powers of darkness, well, I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to your crewmate, Thatch. If you want it, you'll have to... You know what I mean? And then Blackbeard is, of course, because he doesn't care. He has no compunctions about murder, and so he kills Thatch and then takes the fruit and then leaves. It's not even just murder, though, because they were all pirates. Like, everybody on Whitebeard's crew has killed people before. Like, they're pirates. Whitebeard has killed people. Ace has killed people. That's not the issue. The issue is killing and slaying a crewmate, okay? That is, like, a very big no-no in the pirate world, and Blackbeard didn't even care about that. He's like, no, I want that fruit, okay? So if you look at it that way, it's kind of like a messed up trial that, like, Blackbeard had to complete in order to get his hands on the fruit that he sought for so many years, all right? So there's a few examples like that. And going on with Blackbeard's crew, they're all actively seeking out fruits that are the best, compatibility with each other. So I'm not going to include, like, Jesus Burgess or Van Augur, okay, because they have devil fruits that work great for themselves. Burgess has the Riki no Mi that gives him super strength on top of his already super strength. And then Augur has this warp fruit, which is perfect for a sniper. But once again, they were actively seeking those out, just like Law and Corazon were seeking out the op fruit, okay? The one exception to this on Blackbeard's crew that I do want to mention, though, is Doc Q. Doc Q has the Shiku no Mi, or the sick fruit, that allows him to inflict diseases and ailments on other people, okay? Now, I don't think he recently got his hands on that fruit for a number of reasons. Number one, he's like 29 years old. He's like the same age as me, and he looks like a sickly old man, even pre-time skip, okay? So I think that's an after effect of the fruit, that he's always this very sickly old man, okay? And so that would imply that he had the fruit long before they started actively, they weren't even a Yonko crew at this point. They were like 5 members and a horse, you know, wandering around the Grand Line. Like, Blackbeard just defected defected from Whitebeard's crew not long, before this, okay? And also, Doc Q had the highest bounty out of all of the original members of Blackbeard's crew, okay? Remember, Blackbeard never had a bounty, which in and of itself blows my mind, that he was a member of Whitebeard's crew for decades, and he never even had a bounty, not even of like 5 million. Yeah, I understand he laid low, he was never a commander, but it's like, dude, he's been on the crew for that long, for decades and decades, nobody ever saw him, or like, dude, he's the one that caused Shanks the scar. I guess that's not like worldwide, news, that wasn't like spread everywhere, like this random crewmate on Whitebeard's crew scars Shanks, but like, that's what happened. I'm just blown away that no one ever noticed Blackbeard and even just gave him like, yeah, here's this dude, we don't even know his name, but he looks like this, and he's a member of Whitebeard's crew, he's a member of a Emperor's crew, so like, a dude, at least give him like 50 million or something, you know what I mean? So anyway, he laid low. He didn't have a starting bounty. All the other ones had relatively low starting bounties, like Burgess's bounty was like 20 million or something, but Doc Q's was like over 70 million, okay? Before, they became a Yonko crew, before they took down Whitebeard, before Marineford, before any of that, maybe even before Doc Q joined Blackbeard, his bounty was like 70 million, okay? So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Doc Q had this fruit well before he met Blackbeard, which means it might have been an example of the fruit finding him as like a perfect match, okay? Next up is another really good example is Vegapunk, all right? Because we recently found out this might be the newest Paramecia we know of in the story as of right now, chapter 1075, but we found out, yeah, Vegapunk has the Brain fruit, which allows him to basically have infinite knowledge, okay? He has to still gain the knowledge himself, and he was already a genius, so the Brain fruit doesn't automatically make you smarter, it just increases your storage space, as it were. You get an upgrade, okay? You have like 300,000 terabytes, or what's 1,000 terabytes? And then whatever's one of that, what's 1,000 of that? I don't know. No, it goes gigabyte and then terabyte. I don't know anything beyond that, all right? But it's like he has infinite storage space, perfect recall, and eidetic memory, okay? So once again, this fruit is the perfect fruit to be eaten by a super genius, all right? And I like to think he ate this fruit while he was on Karakuri Island, all right? Because we know that when he founded Mads, he already had the power, because his head was already pretty big when he joined Mads. Not as big as it would be later, but it was already huge. So he already had this brain power, like, I think long before he started Mads, when he was still working on Karakuri Island to make the heating apparatus, like that giant spike that's in the mountain, and all the cyborg animals. I mean, he did a lot of research on Karakuri Island in his younger years that Frankie found in the lab with all the blueprints and everything like that. So if Vegapunk was born on Karakuri Island, and he never left until he went out to sea to found Mads. Okay, that was like the first time he left his homeland to go out to sea and study the world and, create his science group and everything. If he was just stuck on one island his entire life, once again, you go back to the Otama thing, where it's like, okay, she was always on Wano, she never left, that fruit had to basically come to her. Other than that, the odds are astronomical, okay? I mean, really, honestly, this would be like, okay, I'm trying to think of a perfect example of this, like an allegory in our world, like a good metaphor. What would be a good one? I don't know. It's like you're born on a random island in the South Pacific, and, you need I don't know, like a specific type of medication, okay, for a disease, and you're on a small island in the middle of nowhere, but it just so happens that there is one plant on the island that is the perfect antidote for this disease that you were born with, that no other cure in the entire world exists except on that one island. It was just so a coincidence that you were born on that one island with that cure, and you're also the only person in the entire world that has that disease. That's what it would be like. The odds of that, astronomical, okay, but here we are, okay? You could just say lazy writing, but I'm not going to go with that with Oda. I'm feeling like he's got a plan with this. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here, okay? So that's Vegapunk, perfect example. Moving on to Bello Betty, who is the commander of the East Army of the Revolutionaries, and she has an ability called the Kobu Kobu no Mi, or the Pump fruit. You get pumped up! Oh yeah! Okay? And so she literally waves her flag of freedom and moves around and bounces and whatnot, and then she creates this sort of encouragement field, and everybody that sees the flag flying and is inside of this encouragement field feels pumped up and empowered, and it's just like, yeah, we're gonna fight, take back our island. You know, we saw this being utilized at the Lulusia Kingdom against Peachbeard, okay? Although I have no idea where the Lulusia Kingdom is. I'm blanking on it right now. But that actually is, taking away all of the joke for a moment, that does kind of suck. You know what I mean? It's just like, they liberate the island, the people are empowered by Bello Betty's ability and the revolutionary's message, and then it just immediately gets nuked out of the world, you know, a couple of weeks later. Anywho, as a member of the Revolutionary Army, this is the best ability ever. It's actually one of the very few Devil Fruit abilities that does not directly change the user at all. Like, because from what we understand, it doesn't do anything to Bello Betty. Okay, she doesn't get stronger from it. She can't be encouraged or pumped up from it. It literally is a power that just motivates other people. Okay, and I'm actually going to do a separate video about it. Actually, this video started out as a separate video where I was going to go through a bunch of Devil Fruits that don't have, like, direct combat capabilities, and then trying to figure out a way that they could have a direct combat capability, all right? There's one I'm actually stumped on right now. If you want to give me some ideas, Kinemon's clothing ability. What is a way, and I don't mean like using the clothing to, like, you know, sneak into an enemy stronghold. No, because that is a useful way. I'm talking, what is a way that Kinemon could use his clothing ability as a direct combat? I was thinking of ways that, like, he could give somebody a vest that's, like, too tight, and they're like, I will kill you, Kinemon. Oh, it's so tight. Oh, hold on, I have to pull out the buttons. You know, like, some way he could actually, like, fight with his ability, all right? So let me know about that, because I have a whole list of that. Anyway, that's what this video originally was. And then I started to realize, like, wait a second. When I got to Otama's, I was like, wait a second. And then Bello Betty, and then Doc Q, and Vegapunk, and I'm like, wait a second. No, there's a pattern here. I'm seeing a pattern with this, okay? Now, Bello Betty, as I said, does have a rather high position in the Revolutionary Army, so it's totally possible that Dragon and Bello Betty and the others might have been actively seeking out the Kobu Kobu no Mi because they knew that power would be indispensable when motivating the masses, getting them on your side, getting them to fight on their own against the despot kings and the cruel oppression of the world government and the Tenryubito. Like, this fruit would be perfect. We need to get our hands on this. And then the Revolutionary Army scoured the world, and they found it, and they gave it to one of their commanders. That totally could have happened, but then again, it might be a situation with Vegapunk and Otama, where Bello Betty might have been growing up in a rather impoverished kind of land, and she found the fruit, and then she grew up and joined the Revolutionary Army, and she became a commander because of the ability. So it's really kind of that. It's like, did she become the Revolutionary Army commander because she had the ability, or was she the commander then got the ability to make it even more powerful? You know, I don't know, but perfect ability for her to have. Next up is Charlotte Newshi, who is one of the members of the Decuplets, and he has the power of the Gocha Gocha no Mi, or the Mix fruit. It's the fusion devil fruit. I made a whole video about this, but it's the devil fruit that allows him to fuse with people in order to become this, like, giant, you know, in order to fight, you know, merges all their bodies and their weapons together. You know, they all fought against the Germa siblings, okay? Now, this one I put on there because, yeah, Newshi is one of 10 siblings, the Decuplets, okay, so they're the perfect people to eat one of these fruits so then they can all merge together. But because Charlotte Newshi was a member of the Big Mom Pirates, they have a huge information network. In fact, it was said that Big Mom has the best information network in the entire world, probably rivaling the Cypher Pole and the World Government's information network, okay? So, and also you gotta remember, like, most of the Devil Fruits in Big Mom's crew are food-themed, and I don't think that has anything to do with the Wills of Fruits. That's them actively going out and finding every single devil fruit that's food themed. Like, every time they find a devil fruit, they're like, hey, Big Mom, Mama, we found a devil fruit that turns you into whipped cream. Ah, Mama, send every single ship we have. We will get that. You know, and then they get it and they give it to Opera. You know, like Charlotte Galette has the butter fruit. Charlotte Oven has the heat fruit. Charlotte Daifuku, who's the Minister of Beans, has a genie fruit. So that one kind of broke the mold a little bit there. But, you know, Katakuri, who's the minister of Komugi Island, the Flower Island, has the mochi fruit. You know, so you could definitely see at this point, this is the Big Mom crew actively going out and finding food-themed devil fruits and the perfect devil fruits to give to their children. Also, the idea that like Newshi has the gocha no mi, which means like the mix fruit, like mixing a bowl of ingredients or something, kind of fits the food theme even then. So yeah, I don't know about that, but here's another good example. Actually, this one might be the best example. Toki. Toki Kozuki, who is the wielder of the Toki no Mi. Alright, this might be a good example of this, it might not be, because Toki is from the Void Century, so much of her past is up in the air, but I like to think it might have been a situation where the time fruit is like this really sacred devil fruit. You know, even more important than like, you know, maybe even more important than the Gamu Gamu no Mi or whatever. It's like really powerful devil fruit that serves a direct purpose. And like, I like to think maybe Toki was born into a clan of like priestesses, so to speak, and it was like that fruit gets passed down through like a ritual ceremony to the next wielder. Okay, they have to make sure to pass down the fruit until it gets to someone that can actually use it the proper way that it's meant to be. So for that reason, I like to think that Toki was literally named that because she was intended to get the fruit. You know, like, ah, yes, your daughter shall be the one to receive the power of the time fruit. We will call her Toki because she will be the one to eat the Toki no Mi. We are not very creative. So I like to think it was something like that. But if she was named Toki and her family had nothing to do with the Toki no Mi, and then she eventually ended up finding the Toki no Mi, and she didn't seek it out. It wasn't like she actively sought out the fruit named after her name or something, like, oh, my name is Toki, and there's a Toki fruit. I want to eat that one. It could have been a thing where she was just born with the name Toki because her parents thought it sounded cool, and then she was wandering in the forest one day, and she found a devil fruit, and she ate it, and it's like, I am Toki, with the powers of the Toki no Mi. That's specific. Okay. You know, this would be like if I was walking through the woods one day and I found a devil fruit called the Matt fruit. Because I'm Matt. My name's Matthew. So Matt fruit. I have the power to become a doormat. The one devil fruit where the jacket fruit is slightly better. If you could choose to be a jacket or a doormat. I mean, hey, I would have applications, you know, but, like, still, not that great. Toki's is a little bit on the nose there, okay? Let's see. The only other one I have written down here was Otsuru's Washu no Mi. Just because Otsuru is a marine, and she has the ability to clean out the dirty hearts of pirates, like wash out their hearts and make them a little nicer. It's a very devastating ability for pirates, as Oda stated, you know, because it's a power that, like, takes away your evil, so to speak. Now, if Otsuru tried to put Doflamingo through that, I mean, that's basically just like, that's kind of beyond repair there, you know? You could put him through a few wash cycles, but I don't think you're going to be able to wash all the stains off of Doflamingo's soul, you know? But it is a very devastating ability for pirates, and therefore a marine having it would be the most useful, and Otsuru has it. So we don't know a lot about Otsuru's past. Maybe she had this fruit when she was, before she joined the Marines, or maybe she got it after she joined the Marines. Maybe she sought it out, but it's another example of like perfect person to have this fruit for a perfect purpose. You know, there it is. So on top of all of this, and before we move on to snake facts, I just want to mention that, like, if these devil fruits really are picking their users, then that means either the individual devil fruits have to have a goal of their own, like Otama's fruit, the Kibi no Mi, actively sought out Otama to have the power to manipulate animals because Kaido's crew is there, and the devil fruit's consciousness somehow wants to get rid of these smiles or try to, like, ruin the crew that is built by artificial devil fruits. You could look at it like that with the individual will of each fruit. Each fruit has its own desire, maybe its own consciousness, where it's like, you know, Otsuru, you have been chosen to have the power of the laundry fruit. Toki, you were chosen to have the power of the time fruit, okay? It could be like that. Or it could not be individual. It could be like a hive mind. It could be that, like, all devil fruits are connected to Mother Ocean, and so she has a will to, like, Toki will receive this fruit. a child in Wano will receive this fruit to rid the land of the smile users, you know, or to like manipulate the smile users, you know, because they are a sin against my creation, you know. Might be something like that. Could be something like that. But anyway, I'm just going to leave you with food for thought there. I would also like it, you know, if you wanted to go through this and, like, you know, come up with a plausible opposite, you know, explanation for this. I mean, honestly, the opposite explanation is just Oda's just, you know, not great at writing here. You know, be like, oh my god, he gives the time fruit to Toki. He gives the perfect fruit to take down Kaido's crew to a person that just happens to be in Wano, that Luffy just happens to befriend as soon as he gets there. Man, that's bad writing from Oda right there. I would hope it's not. I would hope Oda is aware enough that, like, that's rather convenient, because the writing of One Piece, I think it's really good. It's really solid for all of a sudden. I mean, once again, this would be like, you know, the Straw Hats arrive at Laugh Tale and they have to fight against, I don't know, like I don't know, a giant, like, alien thing that can control grass. I don't know. And then they get a fruit that's like, you know, we ate the herbicide fruit and we could just kill all the grass. That was easy. We could just make it right through and get the One Piece. Yeah, it would just be goofy, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it's kind of like that with Otama. So yeah, let me know if you have any other explanations for this. But now we're moving on to a new installment of Animal Facts. We don't have that many of these left. Like, hold on. STUVWXYZ. We have 8 of these left. 8 animal facts left. And then we can finally put it to rest. The stupid joke. The bit that started as a lame joke like 2 years ago. I think it was about 2 years ago at this point. We can finally put it to rest. All right, anyway, letter S. We're talking about snacks. Snack facts. Go ahead and make me an intro if you're so inclined. Okay. So, just going to give you a baseline information about snakes. This is just all taken off Wikipedia. Most of Animal Facts are just Wikipedia. But anyway, in case you haven't noticed. But okay, how would you describe a snake? Because that is something that always, like, whenever I do look up a new animal, I'm like, okay, I know what a snake is. A snake is a snake. It's a tubular kind of reptile, right? Like, that's how I would describe it. But no, the accurate Wikipedia way of describing a snake is, it is an elongated, limbless, carnivorous reptile. Okay, elongated, limbless, carnivorous reptile. Okay, there you go. There's a snake. They are part of the suborder of Serpentis, so they're all serpents. That's where that word comes from. It's Latin, I believe. Some interesting things about snake anatomy, because they are tubular. All of their organs are lined up, as you can imagine, like behind each other, so they're not side by side. So snakes do have 2 kidneys, but their kidneys are like kidney number 1, kidney number 2, instead of like, you know, well, okay, it's kind of hard to say. Like this. They're like this, you know, kidney number 1, kidney number 2, other than side by side. Okay, in the tube, they're behind each other. However, they only have 1 lung, so snakes only have 1 lung. They have no eyelids and no external ears. All right, they can still hear things, but like through vibrations and stuff. We'll get into that later. Out of the entire world, I mean, snakes have a pretty large range. I mean, look at this map right here. Most of the world has some type of snake. You know, there's a snake in North America. There's snakes in Africa, snakes in Asia, snakes in South America. There's probably a snake right next to you right now. Just like while you're watching this video, just look to your left, and there's probably just a snake just hanging out right there, just like, you know, just like, oh, okay, hi, snake, whatever. There are no snakes in Antarctica that we've discovered yet. I don't know. There might be some snow snakes down there. Snow snake! You know, the penguin's just walking down there, and he's like, man, I'm glad I live down here in Antarctica where there's no snakes. And then, snake just shows up and just eats the penguin. That's how evolution works. Famously, there are no snake species that are native to the island of Ireland. And this actually ties back, anyone that's Irish, which I'm kind of Irish. I'm more Scottish, but I think there's a little bit of Irish in there. Scotch-Irish, I don't know. But anybody that is from Ireland would probably know this famous, you know, folklore, this story that St. Patrick famously chased all of the snakes off the island, which I'm assuming never happened because there's no archaeological or fossil records of their snakes ever being on the But I do find that hilarious. Can someone just tell me that story? Because I'm just picturing it in my head. Like, what's the official story? Because I'm just picturing one day St. Patrick, like, wakes up and he's just like, I'm not even going to attempt to do an Irish accent. I'm going to suck at it. But he just wakes up one day and he's just like, Oi! We need to get rid of all these snakes, you know? And then he just rallies up the whole town. He's just like, come on, everybody, we're chasing the snakes back to the abyss. And everyone's like, all right, St. Patrick said it, so all right. So they all pick up their swords and their clubs and chase them off to the sea. And then they're chasing the snakes off to the sea, and they all fall in the water and they all die, because we all know snakes can't swim, except they can very well. But yeah, so that's the story of Ireland. There's also no snakes on Hawaii, so that's a thing. Anyway, hope you guys are at least the big island of Hawaii. I don't know if every single island of Hawaii, but anyway, that's the video. That's Snake Facts. Thanks for watching. This will be Teching 101 signing out. Later, everyone. Seek out the devil fruit that matters the most to you today.